Trying to improve at Overwatch can be overwhelming at all skill levels. Looking for in-depth guides and even small tips and tricks can feel like the logical solution, and they can be of great use and help. But what if I told you chasing guides and overconsumption of guide content is holding you back? Today, I'm going to break down why you should stop looking for guide content and just play the game. Enjoy. What I mean by this is that self-review is going to be more beneficial than watching a general guide. Now, I think if you're obviously learning a hero for the first time, I get why you might want to look at a little simple guide on the character, especially a complicated one. But a lot of guides are not made for you specifically as a player, right? They're trying to be as general and broad as possible. I think I've made a couple guides in the past, and it is extremely difficult to tailor it towards everyone, and it's why you target beginners so much with it, because you just can't. What I need to improve on when I say I'm playing Ashe, for instance, is going to be a million times different to what a different person might need to improve on an Ashe. What a guide might cover, I might already be really, really good at. I remember there was a guide I was watching on like something, and it was prioritizing like cover usage off angles. Like I'm pretty good at that. Hey, I can play by cover and use off angles. And if you watch my gameplay, I think it's one of my stronger suits. It's just maybe when I watch my gameplay back, it's my timing and my cooldown usage and maybe my use of my ult is poor. I mean, you know, there's other stuff that pops up, and you will never know that from a guide. You have to go in and you have to look at your replay. You have to play the game and you have to review your game. General guides just can't do it. Where was I? I was saying you can coach yourself better than a guide would be able to even teach you. And then also a note on that: tips and tricks videos, whilst fun and a good bit of information, they aren't gonna actually help you improve really ever or uplift your gameplay. They're kind of just usually fun gimmicks, and even mashup videos. Not to shame on Overwatch 1 car queue. It can be useful to an extent, but it's almost teaching such a small amount of the game that you aren't actually going to get better at Overwatch from it. You might just have a cool trick if someone does something. And like I mentioned earlier, I think when first learning a hero, a general guide is beneficial. But I think improving at your main heroes is going to require you to be very, very self-critical. So that means you have to reflect on yourself. You cannot expect... I mean, sometimes you can't even expect a coach to do it. A coach will just guide you in that direction. You're going to kind of need to, again, get your hands dirty, go in the replay, and look at your gameplay. I mean, I don't even do it enough, right? But I'm not that fast on improvement at the moment. But, like, if I was going to, you have to be self-critical. You have to look at yourself like that. You can't just consume a mindless guide, consume mindless educational content. It just won't have the results that you want it to have. This is something I fall massively victim to. And it's very ironic to say this. Watching too much educational content. Which is funny to say as I make educational content in this moment. But this is something, oh my god, I do too much. And I imagine you do too much. But seriously, watching videos is taking up more time than actually practicing and enjoying the game. That is just the wrong way around. That's just terrible, right? Like, there is actually no other hobby or skill where that is the case, but it feels so common with video games and Overwatch because it's all just YouTube videos. It's just like, oh yeah, just keep watching all this stuff instead of actually practicing something or playing the game, right? You have to actually play to improve. Nothing is going to beat just playing the game, even if you were just mindlessly grinding and you weren't even focusing on individualistic traits about yourself. You would still improve more than if you just watched a bunch of guides. Also, another thing, I think I've mentioned this before I'm going over a couple topics I've mentioned before, but applying these things that you watch in the videos is actually what's important if you're going to watch all this stuff. So say you watch one specific guide on a character, right? A really in-depth coaching session of that character maybe, and out of it is a concept for the character that you haven't really applied much or learned much. Maybe you're going to go away and you're going to think about that and try that and see how good you are at it. And maybe you're actually really good at that and you didn't even realize. Or maybe you're really bad and it's something to work on. that is how you can use that video to improve yourself. But just watching it and then doing nothing about it is not actually going to help you. I do have a whole video on overthinking, and I do discuss very similar ideas to this section, and especially on you end up learning too much through the overconsumption. But I've mentioned that before. If you watch, like in 1 week, 10 different educational videos that all talk about different concepts, you just have all these ideas going on in your head, and you aren't doing a single one of them. You're just confused. You're just, okay, say I was really, really basic, and I grinded guides, like I was like a silver player, like, I put it be here, like, okay, ult track it. Why am I ult track it? Okay, am I on cover? Is this an off angle? Am I using my cooldowns on it? Am I doing this way? Oh my god, wait, but in the Cassidy, I'm supposed to keep my distance and dodge nade and save Coach Gun for nade, but then if there's Pharah there, I'm supposed to Coach Gun up into the air and shoot Pharah, but I can't do that because I just did that's how it feels. That's how your brain feels if you have all this stuff in your mind. Or, in your mind after doing all of that, it's just this. Like nothing's changed. You aren't even doing anything. And that's because there's too much. You don't know what to practice. So that's when you have to come back, focus on just playing the game. Maybe just improving really small niche things about yourself. And if you haven't gotten used to ever practicing individual things and improving it, start really simple. So I mean stuff like, I'm going to play Ashe and I'm going to practice saving Coach Gun for dive. You might not always want to save Coach Gun for dive, but you're going to practice playing with your Coach Gun being saved for a dive. It's a very easy thing to practice. And maybe after a couple games you go, oh no, you know, that felt quite good. It was like, but there were some scenarios where I feel like I should have just used Coach Gun to be more aggressive, and then you can learn from those. But start small. Start really small with really simple to understand things. What was one of the first things I practiced was on Sombra when the new Sombra came out was I went into a game and the only thing that mattered was hidden virus. I was like, if I'm not hidden virus, I'm uninstalling the game. And yeah, I probably entered my position in. My aim was terrible. My translocators were terrible. But I was so patient and I lined up the virus. And eventually I got really quick at it. And I was bang, bang, virus, bang. And I was doing it so much quicker. But I had to start really slow and simple. And that's a really easy thing to practice. And so that's something to think about. Also, on one note, I know to GMs are pretty useless. They get views somehow. I don't get it. They are so useless because 99% of the video is them, like, it's like going up to a practice bot and being like, so basically, I shot her in the head because she was standing still and out of position. And now I'm going to rotate to a position where there is cover. But what if there was someone there? That's where you have to learn, right? Because you can't just take space for free in all ranks. And you have to understand that there will be someone there eventually. And then what do you do in that scenario? And what do you... It's stupid. It's stupid. Now, this actually can be applied to a lot of things, but you have to fix your problem. And this sounds harsh, and it's tough love, and what do I know? So again, you could ignore me as much as you want. I'm just a guy on the internet. But you have to fix your own problem. And I've had this a few different scenarios, either related to games or not related to games. We do end up relying on other people and media to improve us constantly. This is a very, very, very common thing. It's very hard to just take that initiative of the self-improvement. And again, it applies to other things, but it applies to games a lot. It's very common to, you know, outsource our work. Oh no, this guy will just teach me. I don't have to learn it. This guy can tell me the answer. I don't have to learn it. Even if something has been learned 1,000,000 times, you still have to go through that process and learn it. You might be able to learn it quicker because there's guides and resources out there, but you still have to learn and apply it. Everyone past the age of 10 knows most of their, like, times tables, right? They know the 2 times table. It's been taught for years. But because it's such common knowledge, you can't just... It doesn't mean that the 6-year-old just offloads it and just goes, someone else will probably just do it for me. No, you still have to sit down there and practice your times tables. So you might be able to do it really quick because we've built the resources to learn this stuff quicker because we aren't discovering it for the first time. But you still have to learn it yourself. There's I don't obviously get this, but I've seen this happen a lot in either Spylo's chat, even Apply, Emon handles these questions. Like, he gives them the time they need, but more than most people will do. But people will send messages asking a really specific question. So it'll be shit like, How do I play Ashe when I don't know, the diva keeps going on the high ground where I want to play? And like, sure, you probably could give an answer, but typically the answer to these really specific questions is, I don't know, find out. Go figure out how to play it. Maybe you have to push her off. Maybe you have to take a different angle. Maybe you have to be more patient. Maybe you have to play more aggressive. Find out. Go do something and find out the answer for yourself. You can't be told that answer. And that happens a lot. People seriously are like, I just need to know the answer to this thing. This game, I lost this game. This specific matchup, how could I have done it? No, you just played bad Overwatch and just learn. Just try things. Figure things out. There's definitely a limit, and it's happened a lot to me around Diamond, where you almost play not passive. I don't use the word passive, but you play scared to experiment. And sometimes you just need to force that through, try that weird angle. Okay, Ilios is actually a decent example for this, of something like this, where you could play for like 5 million years, and because it's like habitual, maybe on Tracer, to go around this side and fight in this room, it's not a bad angle. It's a good angle. You can deepen and do whatever from here. But maybe you do that so much, you've never understood the idea of the other ones. So go into a game, experiment, find out what happens if you go this way. What happens if I go straight to point? What happens if I deepen this way? And then maybe it didn't work, but why didn't it work? But maybe it worked the next time, but why did it work that time? That's the experimentation that you have to do in games sometimes, and I can't tell you that. I can't tell you why this angle is going to work sometimes on Tracer, and why this one's sometimes going to work on Tracer. It's team comp reliant, it's your approach to it. Maybe you timed your engagement better, but actually it was a worse angle. But you just timed it better. There's too many factors that you really need to understand that. Go find out. It's like this. Like, I could tell you for 10 hours straight how to play guitar. Hold the pick like this, then you hit the one string there, and then you do this, you fret that, you do this, and you could be like, yeah, I know how to play guitar. You still won't be able to do it. You still wouldn't be able to do it. You might have a bit of a head start to the person who didn't get that 10-hour lecture, but you wouldn't be able to physically do it because you haven't done it for 10 hours. And that's the difference, right? Coaching, teaching is always guiding the student to be able to get the right answer. They can't just give you the answer. Thinking about this in like maths, you don't learn by the teacher telling you the answer to every question. No, you learn the theory and the way to solve the problem, and then you apply it a bunch of times to like a series of different questions where you have to use that formula or that method to answer it. So at the end of the day, you have to be your own solution, and people can help, people can guide, but you have to be the one to make it happen. No one's going to do it for you, and that applies to a lot more than just Overwatch. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.